I miss 90s aesthetics. I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. One of the things I fucking despised about the 2010s decade is that it was the decade where they started ruining all the shit that was so charming about the 90s and the early 2000s. And one of those things was aesthetics. I'm a big aesthetics guy. And you'll notice in people's homes, like in the 2010s, they started removing and getting rid of all this old furniture and cupboards and basically anything that was old. It's gotta go. Like for some reason, like modern people think that old furniture is hideous. They think it's gross looking. They despise it. They like revile it. Like for some reason, when they look at it, they just think it just looks. I really think it's a feeling. I don't think it's a preference thing. I mean, it is a preference thing. It is actually. I'll take that back. It is a preference thing, but it's. I think it's more of a feeling. When people see old furniture, old stuff in houses, like old designs on the walls and old couches and tables and all that kind of stuff, people view that as being unorganized. Like for some reason, when they see it and they view it, it makes people feel insecure about an aspect of their life or something. It's like for some reason it's some sort of like I don't know. It's really deep going into this, and I've thought a lot about this. Where I think it goes, it's you almost, it's really hard to explain. But I do think it's more of a feeling. But anyway, and this is just my opinion, but I really miss the old '90s aesthetics. Like couches used to look like they had like checkerboard designs on them, or like flowers or some shit, or it had like all this color, but it was also like a faded color. It had like character, and the tables and like wood tables, wooden frames, the color brown and like tan and just that's like the '90s, and that I see character and all that stuff. It's unique. It's interesting. I really like it, and for some fucking reason, when the 2010s happened, all these people, and I was shocked. For some reason, it was the baby boomers for the most part. I mean, it seemed like it was everyone, but the baby boomers especially were like, "I don't want this old shit around here anymore. Get rid of this shit." I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? I don't know. I just think the old furniture and stuff, it gave off a vibe. It gave off like a warm and fuzzy vibe to me. Again, like it's a feeling to me too. It's a feeling. Like it kind of makes you think of like your grandma or something, or it just reminds you of like the warm and it has like a warm and fuzziness to it. It has like a welcoming vibe to it. Like this couch is like saying, "Oh yeah, stay a while. I'm here. I have designs. I feel to your emotions or something like that." But new furniture, new aesthetics, new shit in houses like tables and shit. They look so fucking boring and so that they're so dull and lifeless. Like I go in people's houses nowadays, and now they changed them, and I feel like I'm in like a factory building, and like for some reason it looks very sterile, and like the doors too, the doors and the couches, the tables and shit, and it all looks like I'm in some sort of vain um model agency or something. I don't feel like I'm in a home. Like it just feels sterile and strange, and also like, and this is a whole separate other thing, but I prefer yellow light bulbs as opposed to like the just white light bulbs. These fucking white light bulbs, and I noticed they become more and more popular in the 2010s for some reason. Older light bulbs are more like yellowish and shit, tan coloring to the lighting, but a white light bulb that's like just pure white, it just comes off like I turn the light on in like my house or someone else's house. It feels like I'm in a fucking alien invasion. Like above my head, they're about to take me away. It's like asylum lights. I don't like these big bright asylum lights, and it makes me feel like I'm in a factory. It doesn't feel warm and fuzzy. Having have a room with a nice couch, like a nice designed looking couch, not some boring piece of shit, but like a 90s or an 80s looking couch or some shit. You got the old TV there, you know, and it's surrounded by all this wood and stuff, and you turn on two little lights in the room, and the lights are yellow, and you just feel a vibe. The vibe of the yellow tinted room, and the light is like a candle, even though it's a light. And you feel something. It's a feeling. But like that is something I always loved about the 90s, and you'd see it in everyone's home, and now like everyone likes to just ruin that. And like I don't know, I guess not everyone has felt this feeling, and I have. But I used to feel it, and that's why I go berserk when I go in someone's house. And when I randomly go into someone's house who hasn't changed their house and their house still looks old, I'm like, oh yes, oh the feeling, oh it's all here. It's all here, all the wonder, my memories, the feeling, the vibes, it's great. But then when you go in someone else's house, it's like, oh yeah, my dad just got this new, table over there, and it's a table, it's we got rid of the old one, and that was around for a long time, and it's just like I don't understand, like, and you even notice this in like restaurants, like fast food chains, like you go inside a Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King, and the tables used to have like some color on them. They had like color, and like the chairs would have like a distinct design to them, and like it kind of felt like an old mall when you walk into more like little cutesy little designs like triangles and like like pattern colors and stuff like that. It looked really cool and like charming, really charming, and had character. And now when you go into fast food places, a lot of them have changed, and the new designs are really boring. Like everything's just white. Just all the tables are white, all the chairs are white, the walls are all white, the counter's white. I mean, like every counter's white, but like everything is just dull, and it's just like, oh, everything is just so sterile, and it's like people view that as being organized. Like when people see that and it's all clean and everything's all white and just bleh, like people see that and it gives them a feeling of, oh, I'm organized as a person. We're organized as a culture. No more of that charm and all that uniqueness. We don't need that. Get rid of that old shit. It's like, I fucking hate that. I fucking hate that shit. God. And you know what I really miss is they used to call them entertainment centers, and you would buy them at the store. And I mentioned this earlier, but you put you put your TV in there, and it has like glass shelves that you can open and close, and you can put stuff on the side, and like magazines or your game systems on the bottom, the cable box, and it's like it was awesome, and everyone loved it, and like the color, the brown color, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, like I remember back in the day, growing up, going to people's houses when everyone had those things, it made it seem like it was special. Like, ooh, wow, look at this big tower, and you got a TV right in the middle, and ooh, and like the cabinets, like what does this cabinet on the corner do? Oh, what's inside here? Oh, who put what in what cabinet? It was like all mysterious and cool looking, and it just made it seem like it was special. And now it's like people just they hang their TV on the wall. They put like their big fucking enormous, overly big TV on the wall, and it looks like it's the design of the TV looks like a picture frame, and There's no charm or anything to it. That's another thing. I miss the old TVs. I'm a fat back TV guy. I still have my old TVs with the fat backs. And what I love about the old TVs is that you could stack shit on top of the TVs. Put your little knickknacks, your little toys, all these cute things you can put on top of the TVs. And it's like it's charming. It's like the TV's part of it has a personality. It's part of the walls. It's part of the cornerstone of your house. It's not just some shit you plaster on the wall. It's not some like very thin, lifeless piece of shit. All these like feelings that all this stuff used to do. If you grew up in the 90s, you remember like happy memories of like seeing people's houses and how charming they were inside, especially during the day. Like during the day, you have like the blinds and the light shines through, and the light hits the TV and the brown shelf, and the light from the window hitting the brown shelf inside the house during the day. It was like, oh, it looks so good. It looks like an old western or something. It just has like this like charm to it, and it's like, oh yes, this is like a feeling. I mean, yes, it's nostalgia, but it's more than that. I think it's more than that. And every kitchen in the 90s used to have brown cabinets. And I love those little brown cabinets, and they have like little handle, little design on the handle. Like the handle is not just a ball or a circle and you just open the cabinet. No, it's like it has like a little hook, and it has like designs on the hook, like a little like flower or some shit. And you open up the fucking cabinet and you close it with the little handle, and the handle has like little designs on it, like like fucking personality, right? Personality. Like even though all this stuff is just physical objects, I feel like they give a vibe off to people, and it radiates them. Like if you live in a slum and everything looks like a piece of shit, then you might feel depressed. But if you have a nice house, and you really make it look nice, you put nice stuff on the tables, little knickknacks, things like that. You make it look all like charming, and get some color in there, and not all the walls have to be white and all that shit. Just shit like that. Then you have it's a different feeling. Now you feel at home. You feel like the walls, the TV, the furniture almost speaks to you in a way, in a subtle kind of human, down to earth kind of way. Even though I guess it makes sense because we made these objects. There's people that build the doors and the fucking tables and all that shit. So we build them, right? We do create them. So, that's another thing about doors. And this is another thing. I know this is going to sound stupid, okay? But, nowadays when you go in people's houses, okay, every fucking door is white. Pure white. And there's like and it has like a black handle. And you just open the door. It's like, how fucking boring are you? Is this the White House? Or is this like my house with charm and shit? No, like back in the day, most doors used to be just like a wooden brown door. And you put like stickers on the door. And like nobody cared. Nobody was like, take those stickers down. No, people used to like love posters more. And people used to have posters all on their walls. And now it's like no one wants to do anything like fun with like your doors or the walls or all that shit. Because now everything's all digital, and the phones are distracting everybody, or it has their attention instead of like physical objects. Like everything's so digital. Everyone downloads everything, downloads movies, apps. Everyone's just on their glued to their phone all day and the computer. Like people don't look at their walls as much. It's like that poster's been there for a couple of years, but I don't look at it to appreciate it. But back in the day, like in the 90s and shit, in the 2000s too. In the 2000s also. And this is another thing. I think the 2000s is a little underrated as a decade. Like some fucked up shit happened in the 2000s to our world, but in the 2000s that we still had all this residue from the 90s, this charm. Like the early 2000s was like the extended version of the 90s. So we still had, the posters, the old TVs, all that cool shit. The late 2000s was when everything was slowly turned to shit. Then the 2010s happened, and then everything sucked. Well, not everything, but a lot of shit really started to suck. And I hate those fucking shows on TLC, and I forget what they're called, but they're usually on TLC or one other channel I forget the name of. But it's like these people that buy houses and then they renovate the houses. And it's usually like couples, you know. You've all seen these shows. You all know these fucking shows. And I don't hate them because they're buying houses. That's stupid. No, I hate them because the couple always hates anything that's old. And they always destroy all the old furniture, all the old shit on the walls. Everything that's old, they just chuck it out. And they're like, this is ugly. Ugh. They always get rid of it. They always ruin everything that's old. And then you see the new version of it. They always show the before and after, right? Then when you see the after, it's like, oh, everything's really boring and dull and lifeless. And it's like, good. You fucking live in your sterile factory building. I want to live in a home, you know, a nice, cozy home with personality and light switches. I know this is weird for me to say. This is so weird. And tell me if anyone feels this way. Maybe I'm the only one on the earth that thinks this way. But light switches used to be the tiny little switch, and you put your two fingers and you just flick it with one hand, you know, and it said on and off on it. And that's the old school looking light switch. And I love that shit because when you were a kid, you could flicker with it and like go up and down and do it really quick. And then you see the like flashing light, like it's a lot quicker. And it was fun. And, you know, like it was so easy when you walked into a room, just flick it, just like super quick. When you flick that light switch, you just flick it. That's why people say flick, you know, flick the light switch. And all like that design, that old school design of light switches used to be in every house. And now what became popular was the new light switch. And now that's in everyone's houses instead, for the most part. It's like a fat flat surface light switch. I'm always hitting it with like my knuckle, you know, because it's just, and it's boring. Like there's no enjoyment from hitting that, as opposed to the old light switch. Like there's nothing to, there's no charm to it. It just looks so fucking boring and lifeless. There's no personality to that. Just a flat surface, and you just hit it. Here's your light switch. Yeah. What? Where's the? I like that it looked like a switch. And like when I was a kid, it just seemed like when you were a kid and you saw that when you were super young, it's like you kind of feel like, oh, is that a switch to like something secret somewhere or something like that? Like when you were super young, like when you were a toddler and shit. Like you looked at a light switch and you were like, am I allowed to touch that? It looks like it's something only adults are allowed to touch. But you know, these new light switches are just, you know, a child will look at it and they'll just be like, oh, it's a light switch. Yeah, well, you know, what do you expect? Let me know if you agree with me or you think I'm some crazy wackaloon. Yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I love you guys. Peace. Take care. Bye-bye for now.